Okay, good morning, class. Thank you for joining. I have now 42 participants. Okay, for the initial or for the start, will you kindly open your video so that I can check the attendance? They open all your videos. Okay, the first 25. Metro, I cannot see your. Yeah. Gilar, I cannot see your face in the video. Video, please. 1, 2. The next half. Wait a minute. Yeah. Today is November. Well, have you seen the print screen screen capture together with the attendance also for last meeting's lecture? Sana nakita nyo. And also this one. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. You can now turn them off. Okay, so there is a question here. Your assignment is due right now. Assignment, no, next day. So, good morning po, ma'am. I have inquiry regarding the assignment. Mali ang nilagay ko sa admission. Assignment is due right now, so probably you can just submit another one. No need to, hindi ko naman hindi ko naman nilimit sa 1 or 2 sa week. So week 1. Assessment. Okay, homework 1, module 1, there are really several submittals here already. Graded 40. Due date is at 10:30 today. Show for student, show statistics. Nakalagay na benefit. Option. We'll just resubmit another one. Wala namang number of tries here only for the exam. Okay, so let us try to continue. Okay, I will now share screen. Chua, I will just consider the waiting room. Kasi I took the attendance at the start of the class and at the end of the class. So there are 2 ways that you can be included. But right now, I will consider continuing with our lecture. We have mentioned that your exam will be on the 17th, no? That is Wednesday. That is if we can finish Friday and Monday. Pero tingnan natin. Okay, so let us try to continue with this. Okay, we have solved this last problem, no? This particular problem last time. Okay, so we now go to the next one. Kababa naman tayo magsimula. Will you read the problem? Yep.
The figure shows the landing gear of a light airplane. Determine the compressive stress in strut AB caused by the landing reaction. R is equals to 30 kilonewtons. Neglect the weights of the members. The strut is a hollow tube with 40 millimeter outside diameter and of uniform thickness of 7 millimeters.
Okay, thank you for reading it nicely. Mr. Yap, Nomer Adrian. Okay, so let us try to solve this problem. So there is a new word here, but basically you can just ask the Webster or the Wikipedia for the meaning of our strut. By definition, strut is a short compression member. So strut is almost always in compression. So it was already discussed here that we have a strut and it's under compression. Okay, so this is our landing gear. So let's say you have an airplane. No, let us just try to consider that this is a light plane. And this light plane usually has 2 front wheels and a rear wheel, for it to land safely. And land it yan ang natin plane. Okay, so this plane, of course, has the wings in that direction. Okay, so if we have a landing reaction of 30 in one of the wheels, let's say this one 30, and assuming that we have a uniform load on each wheel, that will give us 30 times 3, 90 kilonewtons. But that is really quite large for a light plane. Usually, if we have a light plane, we have less than 4 to 5, maximum siguro 6 people na. Okay, so if it is that, the reaction that is 30 on all the wheels is really great. Why? Because we have to consider that of course, not only the people inside the plane, but also the weight of the plane itself. And of course, when the plane lands, we have to consider also that it does not always land smoothly. So there is that impact reaction. That's why we had a larger reaction here to consider. Okay, so our analysis will just focus on one portion of this wheel. So that is this figure. Okay, so let us just green screen this and stop share so that we can solve this. I will try to go to the smaller figure. Okay, file, save as. This will be our discussion board. Sa ating second quarter. I will prepare this already. Second quarter 22, 32, and this is our weekly exhibit. So week 1, it's November 12 today. Okay. So going back to the problem. By the way, if you have any question right away, try to call my attention so that we can address it. Okay, so I hope you can see the figure right now. Kaya lang, this is too large, so I will go to the next slide so that I will have a limited or a much more larger area. Okay, so we are talking about this as our strut AB. This is our AB. And this AB, of course, is under compression. So in order to analyze the force acting on this AB, I need to pass a cutting plane there. And also this one. Kaya lang for this member, I will not pass a cutting plane there. Why? Because this is not a truss element. It's supposed to be a frame. So it's not a 2-force member, but rather a 3-force member. So I have to cut it I'll take the free body diagram, cut it from the hinge, at this point. Let us call this AB and this is point C. So if I take the free body diagram of the landing gear, I have to free it from its support. So if I will free it from C, it's a hinge, I am expecting dalawang components of the reaction, one horizontal and one vertical. So I will assume C vertical to be going up and positively C horizontal is going to the right. Now with respect to AB, I know that it's compression, so it's towards the section that we are analyzing, the landing gear. So when we cut it there, this is our force on AB. Okay, so clearly as you can see here, I have a force system which is, it's not concurrent. So it's a non-concurrent, pero they are on one plane. Non-concurrent force system. Okay. So if it is a non-concurrent force system, there must be only three unknowns. Actually, I do not know H horizontal, C vertical, as well as P of AB. Yung R alam ko, and it's given to be 30 kilonewtons. So this problem can really be solved. Kasi pag non-concurrent force system allowed for us to have three, and if you want to solve for one of them, the best way is to eliminate the others. And so the best way is to sum up moment about C equal to 0. So right away we can remove C vertical as well as C horizontal. And there is only one unknown, and that is the force on AB. Okay, if I will sum up moment about C, what rotate clockwise? Let's go back to our Vince Soriano.
Yes, ma'am.
Byron. Okay, so summation moment about C nga. But rotate clockwise about C. That is actually
AB sine
clockwise muna,
53.
clockwise. Is AB rotating clockwise? AB is rotating in that direction.
Ay, 200.
That is distance, 200
Ay, sorry.
millimeters.
R 200 po.
Ano yung R?
30.
Okay, so 30 kilonewtons is the value of the reaction that is induced, no, when the plane lands on the wheel. So 30 kilonewtons. And what is its perpendicular distance? Galing sa C, ha?
800 po.
Okay, so that is 200 plus 600, a total of 800. Okay, what now goes or rotate in a counterclockwise manner?
Minus AB
P of AB, the force on AB.
sine 53 po.
Okay, so you're saying that I need to get the components of AB. Take note that P of AB is going down to the left. So it has two components, going down and going to the left. Kaya lang, yung going to the left will pass through C, so wala na. That's why you are using P of AB na vertical component. And for its vertical component, you use sine of 53. Tama? P of AB, sine of 53. And then what is the perpendicular distance? P of AB is acting at B. So its distance will be from C
600 po.
600. Okay. Will you kindly solve for P of AB? Kaya ba
Okay po,
solve
wait lang po.
Thank you. Simplify, that is just times 200 plus 600, that is 800. Transpose to the other side, becomes positive all over 600 sine of 53. And that gives you how much?
101.03 po.
Okay, 101.03.
0.03.
What is the unit? Kasi this is supposed to be P of AB. So it's not just the magnitude, you have to give me the unit.
Kilonewtons po.
Of course, no, they should be in kilonewtons because 30 is in kilonewtons, so P of AB is also in kilonewtons. So that is the force acting on our strut AB. If I will take the cross section of the strut, sabi sa problem, it is a hollow strut, so hollow tube or hollow pipe. No, the diameter outside is 40, while there is a uniform thickness na 7 millimeters. Okay. Sunod, Ursolino. Can you solve for the stress now? Determine the compressive stress. So stress in AB. Ursolino. Angel.
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay. How do you define stress, Ursolino? What is the formula for stress? Kita marinig? Stress is defined to be, anong formula natin sa stress? That is the first formula.
Ma'am,
Oh.
iba po yung nakukuha ko pong force sa AB.
Oh. So we go back.
Nakalimutan ko po ilagay yung degrees sa 53. Sorry po.
So papalitan.
Bale 50 point.
Okay, so Sifra, ang pangalan nito?
Ano po siya?
Sandali lang. He is trying to redeem himself. Sino na nga ba yung nagsasalita?
Soriano po.
Soriano. Okay, Soriano is,
50.09 po.
okay, so we will try to erase this and it should be 50.09
0.09 po.
kilonewton.
Sorry po, ma'am.
Okay. So, is it already tama? Sino ba yung nag-correct? Sifra? Do you agree with the new value of Soriano?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, so we agree on that. There is a change of the value of P of AB. It's not 101, it's 50, as attested by Soriano and Sifra. Thank you for the correction. Okay, pupunta na ulit tayo kay Ursolino. Sino na ba yung tinawag? Ursolino. Angel? Are you ready?
Force over
Of
area
course, it's the force P divided by the area. What is the force, Ursuliano? Siyempre, P of AB rin to. At area ng AB rin to. Ano?
50.9 po.
0.09
09 po pala.
natin. Kaya lang nakakilonewton siya. You always have to express the force in newtons. So we multiply by 1,000. Okay, so now I need you to solve for the area of AB. Ursuliano, continue. It's supposed to be a hollow, no, figure. Na 40 ang diameter out. How do you solve for the area, Ursuliano? 40 daw to, and we have a uniform thickness na 7 mm. Can you solve for the area?
Ma'am, Soriano po.
Ay, sino ba yun? Yung ba yung kausap ko kanina? Ursuliano yata ang pangalan mo. Meron ba Ursul? Oh, di ba meron na? Ursuliano. May U pa. Mamaya ka muna, Soriano. I started at the bottom kasi. Okay, Ursuliano, continue. What is the area of AB? It has to be the area effective. Are you answering, Ursuliano, or should you recall another one? If you are not ready, you can always say, Ma'am, I'm sorry, I'm not ready.
Sorry po, I'm not ready
Okay.
po.
Soriano, ikaw naman. Thank you for being honest. But next time, please try to be ready. Ikaw ba kaya? Soriano?
Sige po, ma'am.
Okay, Soriano.
Pi over 40 times 40
40 lang, ganyan lang, tapos na.
Squared po.
Okay,
Minus pi over 4 times quantity 40 minus 14. squared.
Minus 14. Why did you use 14?
Kasi dalawa po yung 7
Okay,
millimeters.
so that is the
From
common
both
mistake,
sides.
no? Ang ginagamit isa lang, but it should really be dalawa. Parehong 7 yan, kaya 7 plus 7, we have 14. Can you give me the answer here? Sorry, ano?
Okay po, wait lang po. Ma'am.
So you have to make sure that you correctly solve the problem for the area effective. Yung homework ha, make sure that you have the table of the properties ng even the price of our round bars, square bars, and deformed bars. Susunod yung problem that I gave you last time also.
Ma'am, 725.71 po.
Okay, so they should be placed here, 725.71. Thank you, Soriano. I will try to call another. Trisha Lau. Can you do it, Trisha Lau? Can you solve for the stress in AB? If you are not ready, you can always say it. Kaysa maghihintay tayo ng Trisha o wala dito sa Zoom room. Okay, so Trisha is not answering. Tan, John, Ryan, Gosung. Are you present, Tan?
Present po, ma'am.
Okay. Pakisolve na, Tan.
Wait lang po. Wait lang po, ma'am. Kuha lang ako calculator.
Every meeting you should be by your sides. I mean, the calculator should be by your sides, no? Every meeting yan. Mahirap mag-ano sa cellphone. Lalo na yung may mga pi. Dalawa lang yan.
Hello, ma'am.
Oh, okay, so what's the answer?
Ilang digits po, ma'am,
Okay,
kailangan?
okay lang. Bigyan mo sa akin sagot.
69.0221.
69.0221.
221.
Okay. I will use for the benefit of our discussion, 69.02. What is the unit?
Millimeter squared po.
This is supposed to be stress. Stress is not in terms of millimeter square.
Oh, wait.
The area is in terms of square millimeter. It's in terms of?
Newton per millimeter squared.
Okay, so what is Newton per square millimeter? You read it at square millimeter, not millimeter square. Newton per square millimeter is also termed as, anong term natin doon?
Pascals po.
Ang Pascal is Newton per square meter. So, hindi siya Newton per square millimeter. Ano ang Newton per square millimeter? Kasi pag mali ang
Megapascal
unit
po.
mo, yon. Newton per square millimeter is already megapascal. So, this is megapascal. We have to be consistent with the units. Okay, question. So we will try to, again, now print screen this. And if you want to take a picture, you may take a picture so that you can right away do your homework or your notebook. No? Every meeting, we have solved some problems. We can solve as many as 4 to 6 or 7 problems. So, inilalagay ko yun sa print screen or sa screen capture And then I will ask you to rewrite it in your notebook so that hindi matatambak yun. Ano? Or while we are discussing, you try to write it in your notebook. So again, I will print screen this, stop share. But if you have any question right away, you can ask questions. You do not need to place it in the chat box kasi mahirap tumingin sa chat box. You just have to raise your hand. So kaya, ma'am, excuse me, I have a question. And then tell me your name and then ask the question. Okay, stop share. And then I will place it in our discussion board. Okay, continue. We have solved the first problem for today. Next is this. Okay, nasa na tayo? Admit, Rivera. Sabi natatanggal. So, we started at the bottom, no? So, tapos na tayo kay Tan, John. Ay, nasagot na pala si Tan. Di ba Tan? Ay, hindi Tan, John. Sumojo naman, Sumojo. Will you read the problem, Sumojo?
In the recently opened World Trade Center, a showcase of designers' work is being featured. There is a center plate of which is just supported by 3 bars. If the weight of the triangular plate is 500 newtons, find the stress in each leg if its cross-sectional area section is 50 millimeter by 50 millimeter.
Okay, thank you very much. Pero may mali. If it's cross-sectional area to, this is not section. If it's cross-sectional area, or a dimension pala, sectional dimension, you still need to solve for the area. Kaya its cross-section is, yeah, cross-section. If its cross-section is 50 by 50. So when we say 50 by 50, it's supposed to be a square section. Probably this is a wooden bar here, here, as well as the other one. Okay, so there are 3 supports and they are all 50s by 50 millimeters in dimension, each leg. Kaya lang we have a triangular plate. But this triangular plate clearly has a hole, butas, no? And the diameter of the hole is 2 meters. Okay, so of course, no, we need to determine the actual force on each leg. And the only way to do that is to pass a cutting plane here and cut it, no? Take the free body diagram of the triangular plate. And the triangular plate is supported by the 3 bars. So each bar will be under tension. So this is the tension on C or P of C. This is the tension on A. I'll just call it P of A. And the tension in our leg C, B, P of B. So this is our forces acting. Kaya lang, the plate is supposed to weigh 500 newtons. So problema is, where is this acting? It should be acting at the centroid of the figure. Kaya lang, if I will try to look at it top view, we have a triangular plate, but the triangular plate is, the triangular plate is, 4 plus 3, 7. While in here, we have only 3, and this is 9. So this is longer. Yan. Triangular plate natin is not really an isosceles or an equilateral triangle. No, it's an scalene triangle, different yung length. We are given the, because this is perpendicular, that should serve as our altitude. Okay, kaya lang may butas dito. It has a hole somewhere here, and it's 3 meters from here. So 3 plus 4 is 7. 4. That's why it's 7 meters here, and this is 3 meters, while this is 9. Okay, so what we need to do is to locate the position of the centroid. So because at the centroid, that is where the weight will be concentrated. No? Okay, so kaya lang, I need to have a larger space. So I will print screen this for our stop share, print screen, and consider the next one. I will use the larger one. Okay, so I need to locate the position of the centroid. Going back to the problem. This is where the hollow portion is. This is 4 meters, 3 meters, and another 3 meters there. But this is 9 meters. Okay. Where is the centroid? If there is really no hole on it, if the altitude happens to be 9, by the way, let us try to recall. The 3 or the 4, the 3. Secondary parts of your triangle. There are 3 primary parts of a triangle. Excuse me. Of course, what are the primary parts? The primary parts are the vertices, no? The intersection of all these edges. And then we have 3 sides, syempre, 3 sides, and 3 angles there. So those are the primary parts. But there are also secondary parts of your triangle. Okay, what are the secondary parts of any triangle? So let us try to consider this as our triangle. Let's say an isocline triangle. Okay, so first is supposed to be our altitude. Altitude is supposed to be a secondary part of your triangle, and it's a line that is coming from the vertex perpendicular to the opposite side. Similar to this, no? It's a 9-meter altitude. So that is one altitude. Kaya lang, syempre, meron ding 3 altitude. It's a line segment from the vertex perpendicular to the opposite side. So if this is the perpendicular, that will be the altitude. From the vertex perpendicular to this, ito yun. Now, all altitude will intersect at a common point. And this is known as our orthocenter. Intersection of all our altitude. But we also have our median. What is a median? Median is supposed to be a line segment that is coming from the vertex and median. No? So divide this opposite side, you get the midpoint. So from the vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side. So I can have also another median here because I have also another midpoint there. So this is our median 2. And then also here, and then perpendicular to the, not perpendicular, to the midpoint of the opposite side, this is our median. Okay, all our median will intersect at a common point. And median is supposed to be a line segment from the vertex, from the vertex to the midpoint. No? And the point of intersection will be known as our centroid. So ito, altitude is a line segment from vertex perpendicular to opposite side. Okay, now the other two will also have angle bisector. Ano ba yung angle bisector? It's supposed to be a line segment, no, that will bisect the interior angle. Okay. Okay, this, I'll have a ruler, I mean, compass. I need to do it. I can do it by locating the angle bisector. Ito rin, angle bisector. There. Okay, all angle bisector will meet at a common point. And that is known as our, so angle bisector is a line segment from vertex. So, itong tatlo from the vertex, no? From the vertex, pero itong isa perpendicular. The other one to the midpoint. The other one bisecting. From the vertex, bisecting the interior angle. The interior angle of the triangle. Are you following? Naiintindihan ba ito? Have you ever discussed it in your previous math? The secondary parts of your triangle, the altitude, the median, the angle bisector. Can you kindly answer? Anybody was able to discuss this or has already learned it dun sa high school or sa other math nyo? Wala kahit isa?
Yung iba po, ma'am.
Yung iba, ano yung iba? Sige, okay lang. You try to recall. Yung median, napag-aralan na? Ano yung napag-aralan? Altitude. Angle bisector? Ano?
Yung altitude po sa akin by angle bisector.
Of course. So angle bisector and altitude you were able to learn, no? Pareho silang galing sa vertex. Pero yung isa from the vertex perpendicular to the opposite side. The other one from the vertex bisecting the interior angles. Now, lahat yan itong angle bisector will intersect at a common point and that is known as our, ang tawag dyan, circumcenter. Ay, hindi. ABI pala yan, hindi pala yan, circumcenter. In center, my mistake. That is what we call our in center. Kasi nasa loob naman ng triangle, kaya in center. Not just inside the triangle, no, but it is inscribed. It's the center of the inscribed circle. If you want to inscribe a circle, no, in a triangle, all you need to do is locate the angle bisectors in point of intersection because it will lead to the center of the inscribed circle. Pag sinabing is inscribed circle, hindi ito inscribed circle. That is just a circle inside the triangle. Pag sinabing inscribed, dapat lahat ng sides ng triangle dinaanan noong or tangent doon sa circle. Okay, apat itong secondary parts of the triangle. Last one is the perpendicular bisectors of the side of the triangle. Merong binabisect yung angle, merong binabisect naman yung sides of the triangle. Okay, so if you have this as your triangle, okay, now the angle, the perpendicular bisector of the triangle is the only secondary parts of the triangle that does not start with the vertex. Lahat ito nag-start sa vertex. But this one comes from or galing sa midpoint. Hanapin nyo muna yung midpoint. And then, draw a line perpendicular to it. Hanapin ang midpoint, draw a line perpendicular to it. Kaya nga, perpendicular na, bisector pa ng sides ng triangle. They are perpendicular na, bisector pa ng sides of the triangle. Now, all of this will intersect at a common point. Kung yung isa, in center, ang tawag naman dito is circumcenter. Bakit siya tinawag na circumcenter? Kasi this will be the center of the circumscribing circle. Ibig sabihin, if you want to circumscribe a triangle by a circle, no, kailangan hanapin mo yung circumcenter. If the triangle is circumscribing, if a circle is circumscribing a triangle, lahat ng vertices ng triangle nandoon sa circle. So those are the secondary parts of your triangle. Naintindihan ba? Question. Okay, so there are only 4 secondary parts of the triangle and they are defined each dito. I hope you understood this. Kaya lang in this particular problem that we have, ang kailangan lang natin is the median. Kasi yung perpendicular bisector, yung magiging point of intersection niya is the circumcenter. So that will be the center of the circumscribing triangle. Yung circles in circumscribing triangle. Pero ito naman, in center, yung circle nasa loob ng triangle. Now, yung centroid, when you have the median, pag sinabing centroid, that is where the weight of the body will be concentrated. So, mahanap mo lang kung nasan yung centroid ng figure, no? Malalaman mo na yung where the weight of the body will be concentrated. Kung mga regular figures lang, madali. Kunyari, rectangle. The centroid of the rectangle falls exactly at the intersection of dalawang diagonal. Nandyan yung center of gravity or centroid kung solid. Okay, pagka triangle, it will be at the centroid. No, at the intersection of all the median. Okay, pero at katulad nito, a triangle with a hole, we need to locate the position of the center of gravity. Okay, so kailangan may computation muna tayo. Okay, but before I can have it, I need to erase some of this. So I will take a print screen and then stop share. Have you seen the, ano ba yun? The video natin? Na-access nyo ba yung video natin sa YouTube? Yes or no?
Yes po.
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay.
So,
May
ma'am.
salamat naman. May video tayo na kung ano yung dinidiscuss natin during this one. Kung may naaalis-alis sa ating discussion board o yung nadi-disconnect. And then meron din tayong PowerPoint. I uploaded the PowerPoint presentation. I mean yung screenshot ng PowerPoint. Pati yung original PowerPoint ng mga problems. So everybody is well equipped. Matatapos nyo yung notebook ninyo. Okay. Then, maintindihan mabuti. If you rewrite it, I will just get the screen up again para maliwanag. Okay. This is our figure. Now, I will try to locate the position of the centroid. Okay. Locate the center of gravity. In order to locate the center of gravity, what we need to do is we have some reference line. If you want, the reference line will be here at exactly along the altitude and along this base. Okay, this will be our reference X and Y axis. In this case, this will be our X, and this will be our Z axis. So, ang tawag ko rito ay Z axis. I will have to call it Z. Kasi this is a space figure, so I will have to use rotated axis. And this will be my Y axis. That will be my X. Take note, no, the axes that we have chosen are mutually perpendicular from one another. So if I will try to look at the top view, ito yung top view. Okay, this will be our Z axis and this will be our X axis. Tapos nandito yung butas natin. The location of the centroid of the hole, whose diameter is 2 meters, is positioned here. Actually, sabi sa figure, this is 3 and this is 4. A total of 7. This is 3. while this is also 4. Okay. So what we will try to do, because it's a combination of several figures, is to best is to place it in a table. Okay, yung first triangle natin, I will use right triangles ha. Ito muna, and that is 9 by 7. This is 9 kasi, and that is 7. Yung susunod na right triangle, banda rito, this is a right triangle, is 3 by 9. And then we have a hole na diameter 2. Okay, I need you to solve for the area. What is the area of the first triangle? The triangle is supposed to be this triangle. What is the area here? Area ng triangle is just 1/2 base times height. 1/2 base is 7, height is 9. Okay, yung susunod na triangle, this triangle is 1/2, base is 3, height is 9. Okay, and then the circular hole, if the diameter happens to be 2, it's pi over 4, diameter na 2, and then you square. So those are the, take note, kaya lang ito negative kasi it's supposed to be a reduction of area kasi binutas. So from here, we get the summation of all the areas. What is now the sum of all the areas? Ano ba yung magsusunod sa atin? On the bottom, Santiago. So Mojo, tapos na tayo. Santiago, have you read already or have you answered already?
Last
Okay.
time po. Last time po po. Last meeting po po.
Hindi ngayon. Siyempre,
Not yet po po.
okay,
Not
so
yet.
give me that total of the area. Kaya ba?
Yung for the area of the 7 by 9 triangle,
Lahat na.
it's total na po.
Okay,
Sorry.
total.
Wait
Basta
lang po.
minus tong huli minus. Kaya lang medyo I will iikot ko lang dito. I mean, replace ko lang yung position. Kasi medyo mahuhulog na ako.
Ma'am,
Ano sagot?
the area po is 41.86 po.
51.86. So this is 1/2, base is 7, height is 9. So 1/2, base is 3, height is 9. And this is pi over 4, ang diameter 2. Okay, so you were able to get the total area. Okay, now we will try to determine the distance of the centroid of this area, x distance. This x, because this is what we call the z-axis, the z distance. Z distance. Kasi ano tayo nasa z. You have to base it from this x-axis. What is the distance of the centroid of this area, itong triangle na ito? Nasa centroid na nandyan, and you have to refer it from this x-axis. How far away in centroid? If it is 9 by 7. Where is the centroid of your triangle? Rivera, do you know? Centroid ng triangle. Brendalyn Rivera, kindly answer please. If you are not prepared, you can just simply say. Unless you are not here in the... Kasi yung iba, basta pumapasok sa Zoom room pero hindi naman nakikinig. Ayaw sumagot, ayaw. Kiben.
3 po, ma'am.
Okay. Ano? Ano sagot mo? Okay ba, ma'am? O ano
3
sagot?
3 po.
3. I want the distance from the x, no? From the x-axis dito. The
4.
total is 7. Ito 7 din. 7. What is its z distance, no? Ang centroid ng triangle. Kung 7 yan, away from this. Mas dito yan, di ba? Centroid. Gaano kalayo? What is the rule? It should be 1/3. 1/3. 1/3 of ano? Kaso, ito is 7. So, 1/3 of? 1/3 of 7. Hindi 1/3 of whatever. Diba? Kaya lang, it's on the left ng x-axis. So, it's negative. Okay, what about yung kabila? Yung kabila is 3 tsaka 9. Perry. Ay, ano pala? Posadas. Posadas na.
1/3 of 3 po.
Negative 1/3 of 3. Bakit negative? Nandito na siya sa kabila. That is on the right already of this x-axis. Negative ba?
Positive.
Oh, positive. That distance. And then the last one, sino ka ba? Posadas, no? Perry. Yung butas. Gaano kalayo, no? No, from this x-axis, we have to call it the z distance. Perry, ayaw. Nitro. Actually, it's already given, ano? Nakasulat na agad. Nasaan yung centroid ng circle?
3 po.
3. Kaya lang nasa kabila eh. Nasa left side eh. So it should be
Negative 3 po.
negative 3. So therefore, you can now get the sum, the product of A times A. What is the product? All you need to do is to multiply A, ito yung A, and this as the Z to solve this. Okay, tapos na tayo kay nitromerales. Can you give me the answer?
Wait lang po.
Yung first triangle, please.
Negative 73.5 po.
Okay, the next one. Tapusin mo na nga ikaw na lahat yan. Calculator lang naman. The next one is
13.5 po.
13.5. And then next is
Negative 9.42 po.
and then what is the sum?
Negative 69.42 po.
Okay, and then divide by this area total.
Negative 1.66 po.
Okay, 1.66 negative is the position of the centroid. So therefore, the position of the centroid with respect to this x-axis is on the left, negative 166. What about the x distance? So in this case, we call the x distance, no, ito yung x distance. Okay, so how far from the z-axis? When I say x distance, how far from the x-axis yung centroid nito? Okay, yung first triangle, nasa yung centroid na. Anybody who knows? Gaano ka above the z-axis? They're all above the z-axis. So the first one is how much? Yung centroid. Ito yung triangle. Yung centroid niya nandyan. Gaano ka layo away from the z-axis? So that is still 1/3. 1/3 nga lang ng
9 po.
9. Very good. Sino yun?
Given po.
Given. Okay. Pero punta na tayo dun sa sunod-sunod. Merluza. What about the next? Ganun ginawa yung triangle natin. Ang height niya 9. So where is the centroid, Merluza?
Di ko po ma-follow, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Centroid nitong triangle na ito. Gaano kataas away from the z-axis? Kasi ang dimension niya 3/9. Nasaan yung centroid niya? Away from this axis. Gaano kalayo dito? If it is a right triangle, the centroid always falls 1/3. 1/3 of the height o kaya 1/3 of the base. So, tapos na tayo sa base kanina kasi z-axis yun. Ngayon sa x, 1/3 of ano?
1/3 9 po, ma'am.
Of course, 1/3 of 9. Take note, they are both positive, ano? 1/3 of 9. And then, Meridor. Meridor, yun namang circle. Yung circle, define na define. Gaano ka above the z-axis? Ito yung z-axis. Gaano kataas?
4 po, ma'am.
Very good, 4. O ngayon, x naman. Meneses, will you try a question?
Doon po sa AZ po, sa circle, ang nakuha ko pa yan, positive value po since negative po yung sa area din ng circle.
Ay, oo nga. Negative, negative. Pero,
Positive.
pero
3.5.
9.42 rin.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so may mistake. Buti na lang sinabi ni, who are you?
Basinag po.
Basinal. We have to revise this. Kung sino man nagsolve nito. This is positive 9 point. So will you revise? Pakiulit nga, hindi na yan 69.42. At hindi na rin ito tama. Sino yung nag-compute ng summation of AZ?
Ako po, ma'am.
Sige, paki-compute na ngayon. Positive 9.42 yan.
Negative 50.58 po.
Okay, and then divide by the area. 50.58. Thank you for the correction. Mali tayo. Kasi negative, ito negative, and this is also negative. Kaya this becomes positive.
Negative 1.21 po. Ay, 2.1 po.
Ano
Negative
talaga?
1.21.
Ano? 2.1.
Negative 1.21 po.
1.21. Yan, tama na yan.
Yes po.
Okay. Ngayon, sino na ba susunod? Meneses, have you
Yes po, ma'am.
tapos ka na?
AX po.
Ay, salamat. Meron ka na.
94.5. 40.5. Wait lang po, ma'am. And
Ito, ha? Ito, ha?
negative 12.6.
So will you add?
Wait lang po. $122.4 po.
And then what? X distance is AX. Summation of AX divided by area total. 122.4 divided by 41.86. That gives you how much?
2.9.
Okay, so those are the exact location of our, tama na, I hope that we have solved this accurately. I will erase all of this kasi binaba ko nito. Okay, so ayan na yung ating figure. So that means there is the weight will be concentrated, no? Ang x distance natin, ang z distance is to the left nandoon. To the left at 1.2 21. Mula dito, 1.21. At saka 2.9, halos 3 din. 2.21. Nandiyan yung centroid natin. 2.9. Okay, so when you have located the centroid, that is where you will place the weight of the body. Yan. According to the problem, this triangular plate is 500 newtons in weight. Okay. Knowing that, that is the weight, the position of the weight. No, we are now ready to solve for the actual force on every member. This is the force on C. This is, we try to cut it all, no? They are all in tension. The force on B and the force on A. So we sum up. Okay, so take note ha, naka-ano tayo, naka-ano tayo, naka-space, no? So the best way is to sum up moment, not about a point, but about a line. So, and that line is supposed to be the axis, the z-axis, summation of moment about the z-axis equal to 0. Okay, so what you should do is point your thumb along the positive direction on z, no? And then all the forces rotating as the same as your other 4 fingers is rotating clockwise. And then forces that rotate in the opposite direction will be negative. Now, forces acting or passing to the z-axis will not have any moment kasi wala silang distance. So PB, P of B at saka P of A is not part of our equation because they do not have any moment about the z-axis. Why? Because they pass through the z-axis. So it's only the weight na 500 that rotate clockwise. Anong distance? It should be the perpendicular distance. Laksamana, Gina, do you know the perpendicular distance of the force na 500 away from the z-axis? Gaano kalayo away from the z-axis?
Ma'am, sorry po. Ako nakakasunod na maayos.
Yep, Gina. Susunod kay Gina. Jacob. What about Jacob?
2.9 po, ma'am.
Of course, 2.9. No, yun yung perpendicular distance niya. Take note the distance that you should be using is a distance perpendicular na sa x, perpendicular pa sa z tayo eh, moment about z. Dapat yung distance ng force, yung force natin ito. 500, yan, yung force natin. And yung distance niya sa z-axis should be the one that is acting perpendicular na dun sa z-axis, perpendicular pa dun sa force. And that is, ang force natin y, kasi vertical siya. Ang axis of rotation natin z, so ang distance, it should be x. The x distance is the only distance that will be perpendicular na sa x, perpendicular pa sa y. So times 2.9. Okay, what rotate counterclockwise? Sino yung nagsasabi ng 2.9? Ian ba yun? Or Jacob?
Jacob po, ma'am.
Jacob. Okay. So what about P of C, Jacob? Do you know the perpendicular distance ni P of C? Kailangan perpendicular na P of C, perpendicular pa sa z-axis kasi yun ang rotation natin. Isa lang ang perpendicular na sa z, perpendicular pa sa y, and it's the x distance. So how much is the x distance, Jacob? Gaano kalayo yung P of C from z-axis?
6.1 po.
Okay, naging 6.1. you are getting it from the force. We are summing up moment about the z-axis dito. Dito sa z-axis mismo. Yung isa nagro-rotate clockwise, but this one rotate counterclockwise. Anong distance niya sa z-axis?
9 po.
Of course, the whole length, no? The whole length is 9. Okay, can you solve for P of C? What is the force on C? Because 500 is in newtons, therefore this is also in newtons.
$161.11 po.
Thank you. And of course, that is in newtons. So after solving for P of C, if you want, you can now solve for P of B. Kanina, nag-sum up tayo ng moment about the z-axis. Kaya lang, in order to solve for P of A or for P of A or for P of B, it's best that you sum up moment about, kung A ang solve natin, we sum up moment about B. And the best way is to sum up moment about B parallel to x-axis. Dito tayo mag-sum up ng moment. Summation of moment about B parallel to the x-axis. Okay, take note, no? You point your thumb along the positive direction ng x-axis at P of B and consider the forces that rotate clockwise, no? If it is rotating the same direction as your other four fingers. And what rotate clockwise is the weight, 500. Anong distance? Iyan? Or G2? Iyan. Okay.
3 po.
3, very good. 3, perpendicular. Ano sabi mo? 500, sandali lang. 500 ay nandito yun eh. Yung 3, ito lang. It has to be the perpendicular distance. Kailangan perpendicular na sa x-axis na ito. X, I will have to call it x prime axis. No? It's not really the x. Ito yung x-axis. X prime axis. 3 lang ba? Ang layo pa niya eh.
5.21 po.
Ano? Bakit naging 5.
Ay, 1.21 po pala, Miss Molly.
1.21 galing sa dito. Pero we want it here eh. Galing dito yung sinasabi mong 1.21. Pero away from here is what?
4.21.
Yes, that should be 4.21. It should be 3 plus 1.21.
Ay, sorry, Miss. Mali po pala ako. 4 plus 1.21 po nagawa ko. Tama po siya. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Very good. So at least you know where your mistake lies. It should be the sum of 3 tsaka 1.21. It's okay, no? Kasi lahat naman tayo nagkakamali. It's best to acknowledge your mistake and you learn from it. So tapos na tayo sa 500. It's the only force that rotate clockwise. What about that rotate counterclockwise? Ito naman, this rotate counterclockwise about Z. So I have minus P of C. Ano kaya ang distance ni P of C from B? Anybody? Usadas? Dere? O kung ano sino man?
10 po.
Ano?
10 po.
P of C? I need the distance of P of C from this axis. Yan, yan. Kailangan perpendicular na rito, perpendicular pa sa force. Ilan?
3 po.
3. Okay. What about P of A? Last one is P of A. Anong distance ni P of A? Very. Gaano kalayo si P of A sa line na ito? Nasagot, Terry? All you need to do is to say that you are not ready.
Not yet ready po.
Spiritu.
Natitready rin po.
Bob Ross.
Not ready po, ma'am.
Nagsasum up, take note ha, nagsasum up tayo ng moment. Nagsasum up tayo ng moment dito sa line na ito, dito sa axis na ito. Passing to, question answer.
10 po.
Of course, it's 10. Sino yung nagsagot ng 10?
2 pass po.
2 pa. So it has to be 10. Kasi yung distance na 3 plus 3 plus 4, which is 10, is along the Z. And it's a distance na perpendicular na sa P of A. Kasi vertical yung A, perpendicular pa dito. So both perpendicular each to each, you have this as n equal to 0. Pero alam mo na yung P of C, we already know P of C. Sabi sa first computation natin, P of C is 161.11. Can you now solve for P of A? De Los Angeles. Kindly solve for P of A de Los Angeles.
Ma'am, wait po.
Sige. And of course, it will be in newtons. You need to use your calculator, as I have mentioned that everybody should have. Tagal?
162.167.
Ganyan? Tama?
Apa.
Okay. Okay, next is to solve for A naman. Ay, meron tayong A, B, B naman. B. So if you want, you can sum up moment about the, pwede sum up about the X. Pwede. Summation of moment about the X-axis mismo. If you do not want, pwedeng about A parallel to X-axis. Kahit saan. No? Pwede rito another X prime natin or double prime. O kaya sa mismong X-axis. Where do you want to sum up moment? Sa X-axis mismo
Isa lang,
o
ma'am.
sa X-axis mismo? Sino yung nagsagot?
Coronel po.
Ano?
Coronel po.
Coronel. Okay, will you start, Coronel, about the X? What rotate clockwise about the X?
Yung 500 po. Ay, positive po yung 500.
Okay, 500 times what is the distance from the X?
1.21 po.
1.21. Okay, meron pa bang positive?
Wala na po, miss.
Ito pa, oh. At saka
Ay,
ito
positive ba? Ma'am, yung PB, ma'am.
P of B. Anong distance?
Distance po is 3.
Okay. Ay. 3. And then, finally, yung counterclockwise naman,
Is yung PA po.
anong distance?
7 po.
Equal 0. Alam mo ang P of B, 162. Can you solve for P of A?
Yes po.
Find this solve. Ano yun? P of A, alam mo natin. 162.16.
Um, 530.12 po.
Diba? Parang
Malaki po ba? Wait lang.
check lang. Tamahin yung sign, ha? Kasi the total lang is 500. Dapat yung P of A, P of B, P of C.
Ay, ma'am, nakalimutan ko yung divide rate. Ano po? 176.71.
176.71. Okay, so meron na tayong P of A, P of B, and P of C. Okay. So ano ba yung pinapagawa? If the weight of the triangle, find the stress in each leg. So solve for the stress in A, it's just the force. Ang A dito, 162.16 divided by the area. This is in newtons, divided by the area, which is 50 by 50. Okay, stress at B is 161.11. Hindi, 176 pala. Statement is here. 176. 176.71 divided by the square section, square yung section natin, 50 by 50. And finally, stress in C is 161.11 divided by 50 by 50. Can you follow? So that you can solve for the stress in A, stress in B, ito steeple to C, stress in C, stress in B. Can you give me the answer, please? Sino na nga ba yung sasagot? Grado. Okay, solve na bawat isa. Area natin is 50 by 50 square cross section tayo. Grado, are you willing to solve?
Yes po.
Okay, so solve. S of A. Stress in leg A.
Yung ano po ma'am, yung stress po along A is ano po, 0.06 megapascals.
0.06 megapascal. Okay, B.
Sabi naman,
Mga 3 decimal places. Kasi may
okay po. Sa stress along B naman po is 0.071. Ay, 0.071 po. Megapascals.
And then sa C,
Stress along C po is 0.064 megapascals.
yung A pakiulit nga para hindi naman na siya. Talagang 6 lang yun, 0.06 lang.
Okay po.
Okay, so we can accept that. Can you follow? You were able to solve for the stresses in every member once you know the exact location of our centroid or our where the weight will be concentrated. And how did we do that? By using this table. Okay, question. Now is the time to ask your question.
Miss?
Excuse me po ma'am.
0.065 po ata ma'am. Sa A. Opo. 0.065 po.
I will change your 65. Okay, any other question?
Ma'am ako po.
Okay, question.
Yung about po sa assignment po ma'am, yung
Sandali lang, dito muna, wala na bang tanong dito?
Miss, paano puli yun sa kamay-kamay?
Okay, you need to, because this is a force system in space, ang rule is you have to use either the left hand rule or the right hand rule. You have to point your thumb along the positive direction of the axis that you are or axis that you are considering. Like for example, this first one, summation of moment about the z-axis. Ito yun, z-axis. So you point your thumb along the positive direction of z-axis. And if the force is rotating as your other 4 fingers, kasi yung thumb, pinoint mo na sa positive direction ng axis, pag nagro-rotate, no, na clockwise, ay yung force in the same direction as your other 4 fingers, clockwise ang rotation nun. Otherwise, if it rotates in the opposite direction, counterclockwise. Kaya nung nag-summation tayo rito sa moment about Z, si 50, ay si 500 lang ang clockwise. Si P of C ang counterclockwise. Si 500 kasi, it rotates in the same direction as your other four fingers. Pero si P of C, pabaliktad. So, clockwise si 500, P of C is negative. Ito yun, negative P of C. Nung nag-summation tayo ng moment sa B, ito yung B, kaya lang parallel to the X, ito ang axis ng rotation natin. You point your thumb, the left side, no? Left hand pala. Now, I'm using the left hand rule because I am right-handed. Kung kaliwete kayo, ginagamit niyo yung left hand nyo to right, it's best to use the right hand rule. Basta the rule is to point your thumb along the positive direction of your thumb, along the axis, and then if the force rotate in the same direction as your other four fingers, they are rotating clockwise. And oppositely, counterclockwise. Did I answer your question? Sino ba yung
Yes po,
nagtanong?
ma'am. Thank you po.
Okay. Is there any other question before we go to the question of the first one na hindi naman about dito, about sa assignment? Okay, so kung wala na dito, I will print screen this and stop share. Okay, go. Ikaw na, pwede ka na magtanong. Stop share ko na to. Sino yung magtatanong tungkol sa homework?
Ako.
Sige, sino ka?
Grado po, ma'am.
Grado. Okay, question.
Ma'am, ako po yung yung nagpasa po ng homework pero mali po yung file na submit ko po.
Okay.
Wala po kasing po, ma'am, yung wala po yung parang submission po uli para doon.
Ano
Para
ba wala? Kasi pag-assignment, pwede naman palitan yung sagot mo. Bakit nawawala?
Wala po.
Kasi tapos na siguro yung link. Sandali, wait a minute. Sandali.
Sige po, ma'am.
Tingnan ko muna yung link. So week 1 pa lang tayo. Tapos nandun yung homework 1. Let me edit. Okay, it's available hanggang 12, hanggang 10:30 pa. Due date pala ito. Nasa yung available siya. It's available. Information details. Sige, papalitan natin ng multiple attempts hanggang 2 attempt. Tignan mo nga kung nandiyan na ulit. Ano, nakita mo na ulit ba? Hindi pa rin.
Ma'am, okay na po. Thank you po.
Homework lang naman. Basta if it is not yet due, hanggang 10:30 pa yan, you can have at least 2 attempts kung nagkakamali-mali lang kayo ng pasa. Okay, so now we go back. Okay, nasa na tayo?
Ma'am,
O, question.
pwede po mag-request ng 10-minute break po.
No? Ilan?
Ng 10-minute break po, ma'am. Okay lang po.
Actually, sige, okay. Kaya naman. Actually, I have a meeting at 10 o'clock. So, pero pwede pa naman. I need only to solve one problem. So, sige, if you want to have a break ng 10 minutes, I can give you 10 minutes. So, it's 9:10, tama-tama, 9:20. Okay? Sige, you can take a break. You do not
Sige,
need
ma'am.
to leave. You do not need to leave the Zoom room para hindi kayo mahirapang pagbalik. Pero I will start discussing this 10:30. Ay, andun? 9:20. Okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
Sana lang tapos see you on the next series na tayo. Okay, 10-minute break. Rest.
Ma'am, excuse po.
Okay, so we can start already. Pwede na? Another message. Oh, nagkamali ba ako? Kapares ng picture sa homework 1 ang homework 2. So I will change. Sige. Okay, so can you now hear me? Pwede na
Yes,
ba
yes
tayo?
po, ma'am.
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, so we can start. See, as I've said, I have a meeting at 10. Just pardon me with that meeting. Okay, so let me try to, yan, medyo malaki. This is again another problem, no? In simple stress, but this time we have a for system in space, and it is concurrent. They pass through a common point. Okay, so I will just read the problem. The tripod shown supports a total station. So total station is supposed to be an equipment, supposedly, that you can use in your surveying class. Unfortunately, medyo pandemic, you were not able to handle this instrument. But before the pandemic, if some of you have taken surveying before the pandemic, you should have used this, or any, it can be the tripod for the supporting the transit, supporting the level, or anything. Even the camera, that is how you analyze. This is how we analyze it. Now find the required, the weight of this total station is 10 newtons. We are to find the required diameter of the legs if the maximum allowable stress in each leg is 25 megapascal. Okay, so in order to solve this problem, kasi pinapahanap sa atin yung, we're asked to solve for the diameter. So we use the formula stress exactly equal to P over A. If you're given the allowable stress in each leg to be 25, no, in order to solve for the diameter, which is all about the area, you need to solve first for P. So determine the force acting on each leg. Now, in order to determine the force acting on each leg, similar to what we have done in our truss, you need to pass a cutting plane and detach it from the support. Okay, the best way is to assume all cut members to be in tension. Sabi natin sa truss, no? Best is to cut it, cut the support, and then assume they are all in tension. So what I'm trying to do is get the free body diagram of the what is this total station or camera, whatever, and analyze the forces. So it's supported by 3 legs. I will assume all legs to be in tension, meaning to say, take the free body diagram of the total station. So this is the left portion and the above. No? If I will have this as our cutting member, cutting plane, the upper portion of section, no? Free body diagram of the total of the upper portion. Of our cutting plane. So, we cut it there. So these are all in tension. This will be P of A, B, P of C, and then P of D. Okay, yan P of D natin. Kaya lang, we have to recall, no? Probably you have taken this up in your engineering mechanics. But if you have a force in a plane, this force in a plane has only 2 components. Its component about X and its component about Y, if that is our force itself. But if you have a force in a plane, in space, like for example, no, the best is really to represent the force that will be acting in this box. Okay, so let's say we have a force that is generated, or that starts from this corner of the block or the box to this other opposite diagonal. So if I will call that our force F, this F will have 3 mutually perpendicular components. We call this our Fz, this will be our Fx, and that will be our Fy. Now the force components Fx, Fy, Fz has no, in relation to the force itself is ganito rin. If this is the case, Fx, Fy is just F multiplied by a certain force factor. Kung X, X din. Kung Y, Y din. And then, no, because of the slope, if it is X, Y, this should be the hypotenuse. So over the hypotenuse. But if it is in a space, no, we have to consider that this is the diagonal. So if you have a box has 3 dimensions. So this will be X, that will be our Z, and this will be our Y. So the diagonal, this diagonal from here up to there is, let us call it B, is the sum of the squares. D squared is X squared plus Y squared plus Z squared. So ang D natin, the length of the diagonal is the square root of the sum of the squares of the sides of this square. So if you will relate the force component into force itself, it will also be similar to this, the force, and then multiply by a certain force factor. Kung X, X din, kung Y, Y din, and kung Z, Z din. But this time, the denominator will be our diagonal. Diagonal, and then diagonal. And this is the relation between X and the diagonal. So that is how to represent the force in a plane, in a space, no? Different from a force in a plane. Okay, so after this, I need to erase or to just print screen this and apply it in the problem itself. So stop share and then apply it in the problem itself. Okay, save. I have to determine the components of the force kasi. Okay, the best way to solve this is again with the use of a table. Okay, so that we can represent the force into its components, we will place or we will use a table. So to represent the force, okay, so as I've said, we try to consider this as our force at B, force at okay. Okay, so P of A, AB, I'll just call it force on B, force on C, force on D. Force on B, force on C, and then force on B. Okay, so I need to get the lengths, no? In order to get the lengths, I need to get the components kasi. I have to consider that this point is the origin and it has the coordinate 0, 0, 0. So I need to determine first, the first step is to determine the coordinates of all important points. What is the coordinate of point B? Anybody? Mga tao? Never mind. The coordinates of point B, okay, from the origin, you have to go 5.5, no? 3 plus 2.5, that is 3 plus 2.5, 5.5 distance about X to the right, so positive yan. And you do not have to go up, so 0 din ang Y. And you do not need to go back or forward, backwards or forward, so 0 rin ang Z. When you get the coordinates of the point, you have to always follow the condition that it should be in X, Y, Z series, no? X, Y, Z series. And it should be signed, no? For X, it will be positive when you're going to the right, positive ang right, negative ang left. Sa Y, positive ang up and negative ang down. Sa Z, positive ang forward and negative ang backward. So this will be our sign convention. Okay? What is the coordinate of point D, please?
6, 0, 0. 6,
Okay,
0.
Pero dali lang, ang 6 is not along the X. Ito yung X, ito Z, ito yung Y. If you say 6, 0, ganito yun. But it's along Z. So, dapat,
0, 0,
okay,
6.
walang X. You do not have to go left or right. 0 ang X. Then, ang Y, kailangan sunod-sunod. Y.
0 po.
0 din ang Y. You do not have to go up and down. Galing sa origin, you can reach D without going left and right, up and down, but just go forward. And you have forward, that should be 6. Naintindihan po?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay. What about C, please? C is supposed to be there. Anong coordinate ng point C?
0, 0,
X.
negative 4 po.
Negative 4. Kasi pabalik, backward, so negative 4. And then finally, isa na lang yung A. What is the coordinate of A? About
0,
X.
0,
About X, you have to go
3.
Okay, to the right, positive 3. Dapat. To the right, positive 3. And going up, ang Y. So it has to be positive 8. Now you do not have to go back or forward. So that should give you 0. Naintindihan ba yan? Okay, dapat marunong kayong maghanap ng coordinates ng most important points. And those are the endpoints of the legs of this tripod, as well as the point A, where the total station or the instrument is applied, or where the weight will be concentrated. Actually, the weight is, this weight is 10 newtons. Nandun sa A. Okay, so what we need to do is get the lengths X, Y, and Z na lengths ng bawat force. And to do that, you just have to consider the coordinates of the tip of the arrow minus the tail of the arrow. So, kung si B nag-originate sa A, papuntang B, AB siya, ano yung, it's just the tip minus the tail. So, sasubtract lang natin. What is it? Kindly subtract. Ina, laksamana. Ay, Gina pala, Gina. Pakisubtract nga yung B tip minus the tail. Ito ang tip, ano, kasi papunta dito rin. So, 5.5, 0, 0. Sasubtract mo yung 3, 8, 0. Start. Gina?
Yes po, ma'am.
Ano? Okay, subtract. The tip of the arrow, ito yung tip. Ito yung tail. Subtract bawat isa. X minus X, Y minus Y, Z minus Z. Okay, start. 5.5 minus 3.
2.5 po.
Okay. Y. 0 minus 8.
Negative 8 po.
Negative 8. 0 minus 0.
0 po.
Okay, tapos na. Now sa C. Ito yung coordinates ng C. Minus 8. Yung susunod na tao. Mendoza. Mendoza Cedric.
Negative
Mamaya,
3 po, ma'am.
Okay, negative
Negative 3 po.
3.
Negative 8 po.
Negative 8.
And negative 4 po.
Okay, negative 4. And then Mark? D minus A. Mark, dalawa. Marami bang Mark?
Ma'am?
No. Mark, ikaw na. Pwede mo salita ka, Mark.
Negative 3 po.
Okay, negative 3. 0 minus 3 is negative 3. Very good. 0 minus
Negative
8.
negative 8 po.
And then?
6 po.
first. So those are the lengths, no? By subtracting the tip of the arrow from the tail of the arrow, you are now ready to solve for the diagonal. And the diagonal, as we have mentioned, is just the square root of x squared plus y squared plus z squared. Okay, the first one, please. B, 2.5 squared minus 8 squared. Plus pala, plus. 8 times 8, 64. 2.5, calculate. Let's go back now to the A. To the... Ano ba? Hindi ko na makikita yung mga tao. Anybody, all you need to do is just to raise your hands and then talk. Kasi pabalik-balik ako doon sa mga participants. Eh. What is 2.5 squared plus 8 squared?
8.38 po.
And I want it in radical form. 2.5 squared is how much? Plus 64.
Square root of 281 over 2 po.
Ito, 8.5 by 2, ilan yun? 1, 9. Ano? 1, 9. Ano yung kalahati ng 281? Tingnan ko na sa calculator. So 81 over 4 pala for 70.25. We will use that. Susunod.
Square root of 71 po.
70.25. And susunod, square root of
71 po.
71. Kasi 9 plus 64 plus 16. Ito kasi puro. Ano pa pala mag-iwan sa admit ko. Okay, the other one. 9, 64, tsaka 36, 109. Square root of 109. Tama ba?
Yes po.
Yes po.
Okay, so we have this as our diagonal, just for the sake of knowing the directions. Okay, so we are now ready to place there the directions. No? Yung B, positive ang X, negative ang Y. So if I will place there the components of B, ang X to the right, positive eh. Pag X, so this will be BX, B sub X, and yung Y, pababa, B sub Y. Let me just use small letter na nga lang. The component of B is to the right, B sub X, and to the downward is B sub Y. Walang Z, so I do not need to place Z. Now I go to C. Look at the sign, negative, 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 lahat negative ang C. So when I place there the components, sa C, negative ang X, that means to the left, CX. Negative ang Y, pababa, CY. And ito ay negative ang ZZ. Okay, now sa D, try to look at the sign, negative, negative, positive. So negative ang X, that is to the left, DX. Negative ang Y, pababa, DY. Pero positive ang Z, so that means forward, DZ. Okay, so we have placed all the components. We are now ready to solve for each of them. Kasi kailangan natin yung force divided by the area just to solve for the required diameter. Okay, start. I will use a question.
Yung sa ano po, yung diameter po ng PC is square root of 89.
Ano ba ba yung meeting? Sige, mag-ano ka na lang kayo.
Ito,
hindi ako. Mag-ano ka na lang dyan. Sige.
Okay. Ano ulit yung correction?
Ani? Ate. Ano, tawagin? Yes. Magpapalitan ko ng give me 5 minutes.
Ano yung correction mo? What is
Yung sa
your
PC po, ma'am.
hindi 81?
Square root of 89 po dapat.
89. So my mistake. 89. Okay, so now we are ready to solve the problem. I will use summation of forces about X. Tatlo yung unknowns natin, B, C, and D. Summation of force about X, summation of forces about Y, and summation of forces about Z. Okay, let's start with the X. So I have BX to the right. CX is negative. Minus din yung DX. And equal to 0. Summation of force about that. Are you following? Naintindihan ba kung saan ka nakuha? Take a look at our BX to the right, CX to the left, DX to the left. Okay, what about Y? Lahat ng Y natin pababa. So negative ang BY, negative ang CY, negative ang DY. And also the weight, 10 equal to 0. And finally, sa Z, wala yung B, pero sa C, negative, si Z, minus o plus dz equal to 0. Okay, so I have three equations. They announce. Any question on how we arrive at these three equations? Naintindihan ba ito?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes.
so ibabalik lang natin sila in the form of B, C, and D. So this will be B. Pang X component din times 2.5 over the diagonal, square root of 70.25 minus CX. C ang X is 3 over square root of 8 minus D times 3 over square root of 109 equal to 0. Ito BY. It's negative. Yan negative. I'll just multiply by positive. By negative 1 both sides. So this becomes B. Ang Y ni B is A over square root of 70.25 plus CY. Y ni it's 8 over square root of 89. And B, Y is 8 over square root of 109. If I will transpose this to the other side, it becomes positive. But I multiply both sides by negative 1, so it becomes negative. Positive na, positive 10. I multiply it by negative 1, so this becomes all positive. Pero pag nilipat sa kabila, it becomes negative 10. Okay, yan. And then finally here, C times CC. 4 over square root of 89. Kaya lang negative yan. Plus D times Z is 6 over square root of 109. And then equal to 0. Can you solve these three equations, three unknowns? Solve na ang three equations, three unknowns. You use mode. If you're using Casio 991 ES, mode, tapos 5. Kasi equation yun. And then, hanapin nyo yung three equations, three unknowns. That's why they 2. Then solve. Systems of equations. Paki-solve na everybody. Tignan natin kung sino ang tatama.